The term fairy has largely positive associations in contemporary times, thanks to popular media portrayals like Tinkerbell or the fairy godmother. However, it is important to set aside these Disney-esque depictions and delve into the true nature of fairies. The term fairy encompasses various mythical creatures or spirits with supernatural qualities found across many European cultures. It serves as a broad categorization rather than a specific creature type. Fairy tales feature a plethora of magical beings, including dragons, elves, goblins, dwarves, and, of course, fairies. While some fairies exhibit benevolent traits and share a close connection with humans, others have darker and more sinister narratives. In Scotland, fairies are classified into two main categories known as the Seelie Court and the Unseelie Court, distinctions that have been adopted in several other countries. The Seelie Court comprises fairies who seek to assist humans. These fairies are described as the most beautiful and vibrant, offering blessings and wishes in return for favors. If offended, they strive to rectify the situation. Associated with spring and summer, they prefer the light and warmth. In contrast, the Unseelie Court represents their darker counterparts. These fairies are hideous and lack interest in befriending humans. Active during autumn and winter, they thrive in darkness and engage in dark magic. They harm humans for their own amusement and often kidnap human children since they are unable to reproduce. Fairies can also be categorized as trooping, solitary, or domesticated. Trooping fairies form organized groups, creating their own society with rules and laws. Solitary fairies prefer isolation and usually possess mischievous or sinister traits. Domesticated fairies, on the other hand, become part of a household, offering their services and labor in exchange for food and shelter. Fairies are commonly depicted as small human-like creatures with wings, although their size can vary. Some fairies can imitate human forms, while others lack wings altogether. One notable type of fairy found in European folklore is the changeling. Changelings are left behind by fairies when they steal a human, often a child. These substitutes mimic the appearance of the stolen person but are never a perfect replica. They may possess superior intellect but display physical deformities such as facial hair, long teeth, or unusually large eyes. Changelings are considered the deformed offspring of fairies and elves, shunned and never fully accepted. Fairies would kidnap human children to serve them, punish parents who wronged them, or raise the child as a replacement for the changeling. Discovering a changeling prompted various attempts to reclaim the original child, including making the changeling laugh or torturing them. The wilderness was also seen as a place where fairies might reclaim the changeling. Sadly, the changeling narrative intersects with issues of child abuse, abandonment, and infant mortality rates. There are also tales of fairies kidnapping adults to marry into their families or mothers to assist in raising fairy children. In such cases, an enchanted log would be left behind, assuming the appearance of the stolen person. Eventually, the log replacement would fall ill and die, unknowingly deceiving the family. The infamous case of Bridget Cleary involved a changeling-related murder. In 1895, Bridget was killed by her husband in Ireland, who then set her body on fire, claiming she had been taken by fairies. Bridget, diagnosed with bronchitis, was severely ill and received her last rites from a priest. Suspecting her to be a fairy impersonator, her husband and father carried her into the fireplace, believing that doing so would make the changeling jump up the chimney and bring back the real Bridget. The changeling narrative is a tragic tale of abandonment and neglect. Leprechauns are a familiar type of fairy often associated with mischief. They prefer to work alone and are commonly depicted as cobblers, dedicating much of their time to shoemaking. Interestingly, the iconic green attire we now associate with leprechauns only emerged in the 20th century, as they traditionally wore red jackets. David Russell McKinley authored a book named Irish Wonders, which provides an intricate account of various fairies, ghosts, and creatures found in Irish folklore. McKinley believed that every mythology encompassed both benevolent and malevolent spirits. In his perspective, the leprechaun symbolized a relic from Ireland's pagan mythology, existing in a realm between absolute goodness and complete evil. His portrayal of the leprechaun is remarkably comprehensive compared to others I have encountered. According to McKinley, the leprechaun's lineage is of humble descent, with an evil spirit for a father and a degenerate fairy for a mother. By nature, the leprechaun assumes the role of a mischief maker, embodying the mischievous spirit of the Emerald Isle. Standing at a diminutive height of approximately 3 feet, the leprechaun adorns a small red jacket and red breeches fastened at the knee, complemented by gray or black stockings. Topping off its appearance is a hat reminiscent of the style worn a century ago, perched atop a weathered and aged face. McKinley further adds that while fairies living in larger groups prefer to wear the color green, solitary fairies like leprechauns favor the color red. Legend has it that if one managed to physically capture a leprechaun, it would be compelled to divulge the location of its buried gold, concealed within mounds of earth. However, leprechauns are notorious for their craftiness. In one tale, a farmer successfully captures a leprechaun and demands that it lead him to its treasure. The leprechaun complies and guides the farmer that very night. When instructed to start digging, the leprechaun pleads for a release, claiming to lack a spade. Since the farmer already knows the gold's location, the leprechaun uses a stick to mark the spot, placing its hat on top. The spot has been marked. You can return with a spade and claim all the gold for yourself. Now, please, let me go, implores the leprechaun. Satisfied, the farmer releases the leprechaun, planning to return the following morning equipped with a spade to unearth the riches. To his dismay, the farmer finds a bog filled with sticks and hats strewn about. Locating the gold would prove to be an arduous task. He had been thoroughly outwitted by the clever leprechaun. McKinley also asserts that leprechauns shun companionship with other fairies and possess no interest in marriage or family. Some stories suggest that this preference for solitude stems from their exile, while others simply attribute it to leprechauns' inclination toward a solitary existence. Another category of solitary house fairies includes boggarts and brownies. The brownie emerges when everyone in the house slumbers, dutifully performing various tasks and chores. In exchange for their services, they request an offering, typically in the form of food and drink. Brownies exhibit a particular fondness for cake, milk, and cream. Similar to brownies, hobgoblins are also regarded as helpful household spirits. Brownies are perceived as harbingers of prosperity for the households they inhabit. However, their unpredictable temperament is well known. The slightest disturbance, such as relocating a broom or altering their surroundings, can trigger fits of rage. Unless appeased or pacified, they will abandon the house in search of a new dwelling. Fortunately, this outcome is preferable, as the alternative involves the transformation of a brownie into a boggart, essentially an evil version of its former self. Boggarts wreak havoc within households, stealing and rearranging objects, meddling with pets, spoiling milk, and even disturbing sleep by tugging at one's ears. Their behavior is nothing short of bizarre and unnerving. Boggarts persistently follow families wherever they relocate, rendering moving homes an ineffective solution. To deter boggarts from entering, folklore suggests placing a mound of salt outside the room's entrance and hanging a horseshoe on the front door handle. Pixies, commonly found in the United Kingdom, particularly in Devon and Cornwall, constitute another type of fairy. Some may recall the Cornish pixies from the Harry Potter series. Pixies are believed to dwell underground, inhabiting large mounds and stone circles. Generally regarded as harmless and benign, they embody a childlike demeanor in both appearance and behavior. Playful and mischievous, pixies are often found congregating in large groups, engaging in dances, songs, and pranks aimed at nearby humans. There are stories of pixies abducting children and exacting retribution upon humans. However, numerous accounts depict pixies as affectionate toward humans, particularly children, as long as they pose no harm. In such tales, pixies engage in playful interactions with children, bestowing blessings and occasionally granting wishes. Modern depictions portray pixies as small beings with pointed ears and wings, somewhat reminiscent of elves. In the Victorian era, they were often depicted wearing little more than tattered rags. Offering new clothing to a pixie proved an effective means of forging a friendship. The advent of Christianity in Britain brought about a slight alteration in the perception of pixies. They were now portrayed as the souls of unbaptized children who had died shortly after their funerals. Unable to progress to the afterlife, they transformed into pixies, maintaining their childlike innocence while remaining trapped in a state of pixie limbo. One prevalent creature found in numerous cultures is the Irish Banshee. Originating from the Old Irish term meaning woman of the fairy mound, banshees manifest in both youthful and elderly forms, characterized by red, silver, or golden hair, a white dress, and a ghostly complexion. Elderly banshees are short in stature, donning a green dress and gray cloak. Banshees make their appearance when a family member passes away, signaling their presence through piercing screams and mournful wails. While the immediate family may already be aware of the impending tragedy, in cases of distant relatives, the sighting of a banshee is interpreted as an omen of ill fortune. According to popular belief, banshees were the restless spirits of young women who suffered brutal deaths. Those who harbored resentment or intense animosity toward their families would linger, consumed by anger and eagerly awaiting the demise of their hated kin. Conversely, many accounts describe banshees as remaining or returning to watch over their families, particularly if they met an untimely demise and held deep bonds with their loved ones. Banshee songs exude a somber tone, intertwined with sorrow. This ties into the tradition of keening, practiced in Scotland and Ireland, where a keening woman vocally mourns the deceased. Although akin to singing, keening possesses distinctive features. It involves repetitive vocalizations and rhythmic movements, yet lacks premeditation. Notably, it incorporates elements reminiscent of a banshee's mournful wails. Banshees occasionally foretell imminent deaths, appearing in advance to the person whose demise has been prophesied. Days before the news reaches others, the person concerned may hear the haunting songs of the banshee. The presence of multiple banshees in one location signifies the passing of an individual of significant importance. While banshees are not inherently evil or malicious fairies, their chilling cries instill fear and apprehension in those who bear witness to their presence. In conclusion, the rich tapestry of Irish folklore encompasses a diverse array of mythical creatures, fairies, and spirits. From the cunning leprechaun to the helpful brownie, mischievous pixies, and foreboding banshees, each entity embodies a unique essence, contributing to the enchanting world of Irish mythology. These legendary beings serve as a reflection of Ireland's cultural heritage, providing both entertainment and profound insights into the beliefs, values, and fears of the Irish people throughout history.